This is the case of 1996 when archaeologists found a pyramid in a remote area of China which was actually an electric power plant built by 1.5 lakh years old ancient people. This is beyond our imagination that when electric current was invented in the 17th century, then how can an electric power plant be built millions of years ago? It is similar to making a car before the invention of petrol or a smartphone before the invention of a telephone. Today, we will learn about two such discoveries in China which are possible only in today's world, but were actually made thousands of years ago. First of all, we will talk about Tibet. Tibetan Plateau is an autonomous region of China located in the north of the Himalayas. It has the highest mountains in the world, which is why it is often called the roof of the world. In 1937, an archaeological expedition was carried out on the mountains of Tibet, which was led by archaeologist Chipu Tai. He found 716 granite discs inside a cave, most of which were buried inside the cave. Each disc was 9 inches in diameter, while the other was 1 inch thick and had a perfect 1-inch hole in its center. When these discs were cleaned, it was found that some incomprehensible characters were written on their edges. Characters carved on stones were written about 12,000 years ago. But for archaeologists, only this disc did not cause amazement. They also found an advanced map of the stars inside the cave, and some small-sized graves, which contained small skeletons like humans, but their heads were larger than necessary. To know exactly what happened here, it was necessary to decode the characters written on these 12,000-year-old discs. After 20 years of hard work when this puzzle could not be solved, these stones were handed over to Professor Tsum Nue. The professor researched them for 4 years, asked for help from the tribes living on the Tibetan Plateau, and finally succeeded in decoding these characters. This writing was written by a tribe living here 12,000 years ago. It mentioned an aircraft that came from the sky and crashed here. During the crash, it was also told about the survivors, whose names were mentioned by the tribal people. In these 716 discs, it was also written that we first hid in our cave out of fear, but then we realized that the Drapa coming from the sky did not come here with any wrong intention. They could not go back and settled here. Tsum Nue published this research in 1962, but no one paid much attention to it. After 6 years, this story began to spread again, but this time in the Soviet Union. When Soviet scientists researched these discs, they found a lot of cobalt and other metals, which are the hardest metals in the world. Due to all these metals present in graphite, the nature of the disc was also very hard. And with the help of tools used 12,000 years ago, it was not possible to do carvings on them. After this, these stone discs were kept in the Bampu Museum in China. In 1974, an Australian engineer visited this museum and he was forbidden to give information about the stone. And then in 1994, when 2 German scientists visited this museum to see these discs, they were told that these discs were destroyed by the Chinese government. But the most important question was still there, that if the story written on these stones was really decoded 12,000 years ago, then what happened to the remaining Drapa? In 1937, when these stones were discovered, a survey was conducted in this area of Tibet in 1938. 2 tribes lived here, whose generations were found to be very different from the other Chinese, Mongol, and Tibetan tribes living here by anthropologists. Their skin was yellow, their heads were larger than necessary, and they had very little hair on their bodies. While their height was recorded from 3 feet 6 inches to a maximum of 4 feet 7 inches, about the same as the skeletons found in the cave. So now the question arises, is this the generation of Drapa that survived 12,000 years ago? Even today, a tribe lives in the northern Tibetan plateau, which is not called Dropa, but Drakpa, but their height is like normal humans. Drapa stone discs are not present in any museum in the world today. There is no evidence of carvings and the story of Drapa on them. But 12,000 years ago, on such a hard stone, they could not have done carvings with those tools that have been mentioned in human history to date. Obviously, they had a tool that we didn't even know about. Now let's talk about another discovery made in China. In 1996, a Chinese archaeologist found a pyramid-shaped mountain 1.5 million years old. The evidence in which indicates that it was an electric power plant at that time. Yes, in the Qinghai province of China, there is a mountain called Mount Baigong in the south of Lake Tusu. There is a cave in this mountain where archaeologists made this amazing discovery. Inside the cave, many pieces of iron were scattered in the soil, and some strange-looking stones were also seen lying around. Not only that, the twist in the story came when they saw iron pipes going inside the mountain. It turned out that this cave is not natural, but someone has made it. And this mountain is actually not a mountain, but a pyramid which did not remain in its original state over time. In the beginning, this whole scene seemed very confusing. The more scientists tried to find out about Mount Baigong, the more new questions arose. When the Beijing Institute of Geology researched the iron pipes here, it turned out that they were not made 5 to 10 years ago, but 1.5 million years ago. There were different sizes of pipes here, most of which were 18 inches in diameter, while some pipes were as small as rice grains, and some were so big that even humans could pass through them. Scientists did not understand how these pipes were made millions of years before the Iron Age. Who made them and why? There was no special purpose of these pipes here. A few such pipes were also seen 260 feet away in Tusu Lake. These pipes were seen at both the bottom and top levels of the lake. Some researchers believe that these pipes were probably put inside the pyramid to pump water. Further research on the pipes revealed that 30% zinc was inside them, which proves this theory that only water was passed through it. Now, because Tusu is a salt lake, a theory indicates that these pipes were used for electrolysis. Electrolysis is the process when electric current is passed through water, which breaks the water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen. If salt is added to this process, the electrolysis process becomes very fast because salt water is a better conductor. And there is already salt water in Tusu Lake. Hydrogen that separates through electrolysis can be very useful. Most importantly, it can also work as a fuel. In addition to this, silicon dioxide was also found in the pipes, which is normally found in cords, and calcium oxide, which is also known as quicklime. These are very amazing materials. As if pressure is applied on the cords, it generates electricity. This is called piezoelectric effect. Experts believe that the weight of the water passing through the 18-inch thick pipe generated electricity from the cords. Remember that the pyramids of Egypt are also built on top of a large aquifer of water. Cords and metal pipes have also been found in many places in the Giza pyramids. Famous scientist Nikola Tesla also built the Wardenclyffe Tower on the basis of these principles. Using this ancient method, Tesla believed that he could generate free electricity and send it anywhere in the world. But when Tesla was very close to completing his project, the investors left him and invested in oil. The quicklime found in the pipes of Mahomet. Baigong basically reacts with water and produces heat, but when water is extracted from it, it returns to its original state. That is, there was evidence of an electricity plant in Men, Baigong. Cords, which made electricity to pump water in it. This electricity separated hydrogen and oxygen from water through electrolysis. Quicklime, which mixed with water and generated pressure. This pressure put more pressure on the cords and more electricity could be generated. With all these things and the 1.5 million year old metal pipe present in Mat Baigong, it is not difficult to guess that the civilization of humans and their engineering techniques were very advanced, which is now lost somewhere in history. I hope you will like and share this video of ZemTV. Thank you very much for your lovely comments. See you in the next great video.